Hello aspirant, I hope you are doing fine. In this video, I am going to discuss about inflation. आप सुनते रहते हैं, you are even reading in the newspaper, the inflation is continuously increasing in India. Inflation is at the highest level in the last 5 years. Inflation got stabilized in the last 2 months. This is the highest inflation rate in the last 10 years. इस तरह की न्यूज़ हमें हमेशा सुनाई देती हैं. कभी टमाटर का प्राइस बढ़ जाता है तो कभी प्याज का प्राइस बढ़ जाता है. किसी टाइम पेट्रोल का प्राइस बढ़ा हुआ है तो कभी डीजल का प्राइस बढ़ा है, कभी एयर फेयर बढ़ गया तो कभी ट्रेन फेयर बढ़ गया. तो कंटिन्यूसली देयर इज अ इंक्रीज इन द प्राइस इन द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट्स, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ द सर्विसेज. So if there is a continuously increase in the price, that price lead to inflation in the country. So before discussing the inflation, मेरे माइंड में एक सॉन्ग आ रहा है from the movie पीपली लाइव. हमारे सैया बहुत ही कमाता है पर महंगाई डायन खाए जाता है. So that's the same condition with the every economy in the country when we are talking about inflation. What exactly is the inflation? Inflation is the continuously increase in the prices of the product. Specifically, if I am saying increase in the price of a particular goods and services basket, we having a basket of products that continuously increase the price of that basket. Inflation in the country can be measured in the basis of monthly basis, quarterly basis, half yearly or yearly basis. So we can measure in the different kinds. So if there is a continuously increase in the price in the different years in the country, that is known as inflation. उसको ही महंगाई बोलते हैं. So how inflation is important for your prelims? So going further, keep in mind in the last year 2022 there were 4 questions from this single topic. Inflation direct question, indirect question related to the policy, related to change in the government taxation rate and the impact in the inflation. So the 4 questions from a single topic is a huge weightage in the 2022. If I'm discussing about 2021, there were 3 questions from the inflation topic and the question was very simple. If you're understanding the concept of inflation, you can easily answer this question. So please watch this video till the end so you have a clear idea about the inflation and the different kind or different type of inflation. So inflation is the increase in the price of goods and services of a particular basket in a specific period of time, and that specific period of time can be the 3 months, can be the 6 months, can be an year. Inflation is measured through the consumer price index and the wholesale price index, and the consumer price index and the wholesale price index we are going to discuss in our next video. That's a special topic for it. So inflation can be benefit for a country and inflation can be a loss for a country. When the inflation can be beneficial? When inflation help in the growth of the GDP. When inflation lead to increase in the market sentiment, the business sentiment, help in a country to grow continuously, help in the increase in the GDP continuously. At that level, the inflation is very good for the country, but up to a particular range. ऐसा नहीं है कि 200% इन्फ्लेशन हो गया और कंट्री बहुत ज़्यादा ग्रो कर रहा है. इट्स नॉट दैट सिचुएशन. Up to a limit, inflation is good for the country. But if the inflation is growing beyond the period of time, beyond the limit, that is issue for any country. Like the current situation we can see in the Pakistan, we can see in the other country related to like the Turkey. There is a continuously increase in the inflation and the prices of the food products is skyrocketing. And the persons or the people or the citizens of the country are not able to even afford the foods. So that the negative impact of the inflation. So do you ever think what can be the reason behind the inflation? क्यों अचानक से प्राइस बढ़ गया टमाटर का? क्यों अचानक से प्राइस बढ़ गया प्याज का? क्यों there is increase in the price of petrol? Why there is increase in the prices of the diesel? Why there is increase in the airfare? Why there is increase in the train fare? There are 2 kind of the factor working behind it. The one factor is known as demand pull inflation and the second factor is known as cost push inflation. So let's discuss first demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation, as the name suggests, in a country there is an increase in the demand of goods, demand of services increasing. But why the demand is increasing? There can be the various reason. The number 1 reason, increase in the money supply in the country, increase in the money in the hand of the people so they can spend continuously, decrease in the unemployment rate, decrease in the depreciation of the value of a currency, increase in the exports in the currency, increase in the export in the country, So these can be the various reasons that lead to the increase in the demand. When somebody have money in their hand, the extra money in their hand, what they will do? They will go for the shopping. मेरे हाथ में भी अगर कोई 1 लाख रुपए दे दे तो I will go for the shopping. And in the every citizen in the country having the more money in their hand, so they will buy something for it. But at the time the production is limited. At the time the production is limited, so the price of the goods and service will increase in the that time framework. That increase in the price is known as inflation, and that inflation is due to the increase in the demand of product. That inflation is known as demand pull inflation. Now come to the second part of inflation, that is the cost push inflation. Means due to increase in the various costs there is inflation. That's the name suggests, cost push inflation. Cost कैसे बढ़ सकता है किसी भी चीज का? If I am talking about an industry, there is increase in the rent, there is increase in the wages, there is increase in the price of raw material, there is a demand of high salary from labor, increase in the skilled labor, increase in the direct or indirect taxation by the government of country or the government of India, increase in the service charge by the country, increase in the cess by the country. These factors can lead to increase in the prices of the product, will add up in the prices of the product, and that will lead to inflation in the country. These factors are the cost driven factor, and that's why this kind of inflation is known as cost push inflation. So do you understand the difference between demand pull and cost push? Demand, there is a continuously increase in the demand of product, and the cost push, there is a continuously increase in the prices. There is continuous increase in the intermediary products, continuously increase in the raw material. That is the cost push inflation. Now let's come to the other part of the inflation. What can be the some other kind of inflation? In our economy, we measure inflation in the two terms. The one term is known as the core inflation, and the second term is known as headline inflation. Number one, core inflation. In core inflation, we specifically exclude oil prices, energy prices, and the food prices, because there is a continuously up and down in the prices of food, prices of oil, prices of diesel, prices of energy. So that's why we exclude food, oil prices from the core inflation, so we can check the level of inflation in the country without food and oil. Second is known as headline inflation. In headline inflation, we include everything. And in this case, the consumer price index is specifically used to find out the core inflation in the country. So this is the difference between the core inflation and the headline inflation. There was a question in the prelims as well related to the core inflation and the headline inflation. Now come to the another type of inflation. Do you ever heard about stagflation, shrinkflation, deflation, disinflation? These are the some other kind of inflation. Let's discuss one by one. Shrinkflation. I hope everybody know about shrinkflation. आपने देखा है, आपने महसूस किया है, but you don't know that exact term used for it. Everybody is eating Lay's chips or everybody is eating kurkure. 5 years earlier or 5 years ago, in 10 rupee, the Lay's was providing 40 gram of chips. After 2 years, they start providing 36 gram, but the price remained the same, 10 rupee. In the next 2 years, they start providing 32 gram, but the prices remain the same. And in the current scenario, they are just providing 30 gram of chips, but the price tag for the Lay's is remain the same, that is the 10 rupee. One side there is a decrease in the quantity of the product, on the other side there is a price is limited. They decrease the packet size, but they make the price same, so the customer can easily buy the product. So this is known as shrinkflation, shrinking the size of packet. Same theory on the Parle-G. Everybody eats Parle-G. Parle-G, the 5 rupee biscuit, initially there was 20 biscuit in the packet. Now there are only 12 biscuit, but the price point remain the same, 5 rupee. Why company do this? They want to tackle the same market. They want to tackle the consumer. They don't want to increase the prices so that the sale can increase and the profit can also increase timely. So this is the example of shrinkflation. अभी सबको समझ आया होगा exactly you are facing the shrinkflation specifically in FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. Second type of inflation is stagflation. In stagflation, there are the various conditions. There is continuously increase in the inflation in the country. There is continuously decrease in employment in the country, means high unemployment. And the country growth is also stagnated. That situation in an economy is known as stagflation. And this is the very dangerous situation for an emerging economy. For a longer time, the country cannot survive in the case of stagflation, when the unemployment rate is very high, when the inflation is very high in the country. Now, let's come to the another type of inflation known as deflation. As the name suggested, one side inflation, second side deflation. Inflation continuously increase in the prices. Deflation continuously decrease in the prices, means the deflation is opposite of inflation, and deflation is dangerous for a country because country require a continuous growth in its economy, the continuous growth in its GDP. So there should be some inflation 5%, 6% in the economy so that the country can grow continuously. But in the case of deflation, there is a continuously decrease in the prices that lead to a deflation condition in the country. Now, let's come to the new term, disinflation. One side inflation, second side deflation, third side disinflation. This comes in between inflation and deflation. Here is disinflation. In disinflation, there is slightly decrease in the inflation. मान लो, if there is a 10% is inflation, now inflation come to 8%. That 2% is disinflation. So कभी confused नहीं होना है in between inflation, disinflation and deflation. Inflation, there is a continuously increase in the prices. Disinflation, slightly decrease in the inflation, and deflation, continuously decrease in the prices. So we discuss about deflation, disinflation, inflation, shrinkflation, stagflation, core inflation, headline inflation, cost push inflation, demand pull inflation. So we discussed the various kind of inflation, and all these kinds are very important for your prelims examination. So don't be confused there with respect to inflation. If you people have any doubt related to inflation, you can mention in the comment section. In our next video, I am going to discuss about the consumer price index. That is also an important topic for your prelims examination. Okay, thank you everyone.